Welcome to the Dragon's Library, your source for games, movies, shows, and more. Well, okay. It seems as if my mind has been made up. We're doing more Loki stuff. Okay. I know I said we probably weren't going to be doing Loki episode 2, but that was before I saw episode 2. And instead of being like WandaVision, where it's like, okay, the mystery's intriguing, but I don't really have much more to say, it's instead, oh, they've changed the entire plot of this entire show going forward, because they just skipped ahead 5 episodes. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this show so much. Loki's always been one of my favorite characters. He's easily my favorite villain in the entire MCU. I know there are a lot of people who are like, what about Killmonger and Thanos? I'm like, yeah, but Loki's a lot more fun. Don't get me wrong, those two are well written, but Loki's just so much fun. He's actually one of the first characters that got me to actually read the comics. So, yeah. Today we're talking about Loki, episode 2. I saw it on Wednesday, recently rewatched it today, picking through it for anything more. And, it's good. I mean, what a surprise. Marvel has produced yet another amazingly well-made show with a really good cast and also a good script and an amazing premise that they've upturned like halfway through. Go figure. And we keep loving him for it. Anyway, so for those of you who haven't seen my other Loki review, just go watch that. Catch yourself up. It's literally, the episode before this one, so it's not much to get caught up on. Watch the show first. It's almost my preference. Okay? Alright. So, since we're doing a continuation from Loki, and part of this is just, like, me theorizing, I'm kind of going to divide this episode a little weird. So, first I'm going to give a general overview. Then I'm going to talk about, production, characters, cast, effects, anything new like that. There probably won't be more to say aside from, go see my Loki episode, but if there is anything, I'll say it there. Then I'll go into spoiler stuff, and then after that I'm going to have a section about theorizing, because there's some very interesting questions, and some of them I don't think people are asking. So hopefully I can say something new. Alright? Okay, let's get started. So, this episode kicks off right after the previous one. Basically, Loki has decided to join the TVA. Of course, this is Avengers 1 Loki, so he's obviously plotting his own scheme in the background, And he is going to try and help them catch another Loki variant. We're actually informed that Loki is one of the most common beings in the timeline to have variants. So, he's apparently he's the one of the beings they've had to, erase the most copies of, because he breaks off from the timeline so often, which is interesting, because Loki's, the chaotic freedom, it's that's one of the major things of the series, it seems, is Loki's, belief that chaos is a necessary part of existence and life, and without it, it's dull, as opposed to the TVA's, everything has to go just the way we planned it in the sacred timeline because of order. A simple chaos, order, both extremes kind of story. I kind of agree with Loki, but, I get where the TVA is coming from. It's nice to know that everything's planned out, but it also really sucks if you're one of the people who that plan kind of screws over. So, yeah. Loki ends up screwing things up at the first crime scene they go to. It's like this Renaissance fair place. Variants had captured a new TVA member. And, he gets it, Mobius starts getting chewed out for saying you really need him. It's like, he's just wasting your time and screwing with you, Mobius, which, to be fair, Loki was doing. But eventually, we're seeing Loki, redeem himself again, because this is old bad Loki instead of, new redeemed Loki that got killed by Thanos. Spoiler alert for Endgame, spoiler alert for Infinity War, which none of you should need, because you should all have seen it before you see this movie. I don't understand how the show could make much sense if you haven't already seen Infinity War and Endgame, so I'm just not going to even consider those spoilers anymore. So yeah. The entire show is pretty good. That's the basic plot, so going on to other stuff. Show is pretty good. We get to see more of the, Miss Minutes character who was in that little TVA propaganda video in that, waiting room scene for Loki. And she's she has this interesting line where it's like, are you recording or like, are you alive? It's like, a bit of both? And I'm like, okay, she's just like an advanced AI or something, or maybe she has some more sinister purpose because she seems to be really aware of herself, how to flip between hologram and computer screens and stuff like that. So I am interested to see what the deal is with her. Maybe she's one of the timekeepers. Okay, if I'm right about that, I will, please don't let me be right about that. Like, it would be funny, but it would also be kind of dumb too, which I guess that fits the Marvel brand pretty hard, but, you know, funny and kind of dumb. You know, a lot of their twists are like that. Let's see, what else? Loki is still going through his little existential crisis, but he's still very clearly, like, I actually really like that Tom Hiddleston is, like, he's really good at playing that older Loki from, like, Thor 2 and, you know, Avengers and Thor 1. The trickster who's actually plotting stuff. He's sort of trying to work with the TVA who, at this point I'm not even entirely sure of the good guys. I'm not really sure that there's really a good guy. Loki's our protagonist, so we'll probably go with his view in the end. Like, I want the multiverse back, so I want the Loki to win. I want multiverse. It sounds like fun. And it sounds like the Multiverse of Madness says that Loki is going to win, so, you know, the Doctor Strange movie title is apparently a massive spoiler. I mean, I guess also WandaVision, if you were looking at all the stuff in that show. Because for those of you who don't know, WandaVision kept bringing up the Nexus as like a major plot point. It's like, the Nexus. And apparently Nexus events are deviations of the timeline, so... and from what I understand, the comics has something to do with like a point, you know, a central point in the multiverse, something like that. Don't know the details. Will be interesting to find out. So yeah, that's the non-spoiler part of this review. Really good episode. The ending is a massive twist, so if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. I understand it's a new episode. Some of you might wait to binge. That's fine. We're going to spoiler talk now. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. This episode is really interesting for a few reasons. First of all, we discover that the TVA actually does have a few blind spots. See, they're able to detect when the multiverse starts, like, reforming, when a Nexus event occurs and a variant threatens to make a new branch in the timeline. That would, you know, branch out and then eventually create a multiverse. So, before they can branch again and become basically, you know, terrifying, you know, multiverse cataclysm, like the TVA says they are anyway, they go in and detect them. They can detect when these branches form. But Loki figures out that if a massive apocalypse comes, like a really sudden natural disaster, no one survives, you know, areas so damaged that any physical disruption is wiped away, that kind of thing. So, like something like Pompeii or Ragnarok or a supernova, something like that. In an apocalypse, in the time before the apocalypse happens, there's no branch. Like, you can, you know, do whatever you want to a certain extent, and as long as you don't save anyone's life or prevent save someone who should have died, you basically have prevented the timeline from branching outward. Because they're all gonna die anyway. Doesn't matter if they die a few feet away. Apparently these have to be very small moments of time, they have to be naturally occurring, they have to happen very fast with no time for response or survival. Think massive tsunamis, earthquakes that devastate entire, like volcanoes, tsunamis, supernovas, Ragnarok. I said all that stuff, yeah. Yeah, so those. And it's actually really clever. Like, I really like that Loki is the one that figured it out, because it's the kind of loophole Loki would totally exploit. And, you know, they're hunting a Loki, so Mobius is like, yes, I knew I kept you alive for a reason. And Mobius is kind of interesting, too. He has, like, a thing for jet skis now. It's like, I kind of like him. He really seems like the boring middle manager kind of guy. Like, seriously, his favorite thing is a magazine about jet skis because he thinks they were one of those few moments in history where form met function in perfect harmony. It's like, dude, it's a jet ski. Like, they're fun, but, you know. And he's like, I can't ride one. That would screw up the timeline. Do you know what a time cop on a jet ski would do? People would look at that all the time. I'm like, yeah, that would totally be a movie. Everybody would be watching that. So, yeah. And they end up going to this, climate disaster in 2050 that's about to destroy this massive, supermarket and all the people and things inside. And they figure out the Loki, thanks to some evidence recovered from a previous crime scene, they figure out that the Loki must be hiding out there, and they go to confront them. And here's where the twist comes in. Okay, first up, the Loki had been attacking the TVA. We saw it a little bit at the beginning, but they had attacking him with this sort of mind magic. So they were always like this cloaked figure in the shadows. They would take control of someone and use them to do most of the dirty work, stabbing the others to the back while they're distracted, that kind of thing. He captures an officer, apparently got her to tell her where the timekeepers are. They screw around with Loki using some meat puppets. It's kind of embarrassing watching the God of Mischief, an actual Asgardian, get his ass kicked by like just the random idiots in a convenient hiding out in a storm shelter in a like giant supermarket. But whatever. I guess magic strength. I mean, they're throwing him to like through some tables and breaking stuff. Like I guess the spell probably just gave him super strength or something like that. Just assume they gave him super strength. Whatever. But here's where the big twist, and this is one of the reasons I actually want to do this episode, is the Loki is revealed to be a female Loki. Now, we saw a few images of other Lokis when they were like, yeah, he's the most common, time criminal of all time, the most common variant we've had to catch. And you see these images like a monstrous Loki and like, some of Loki's like older costumes almost. And it's like, okay, so most of these could be just like small events, maybe Loki got like cursed and got turned into a monster when he wasn't supposed to. Okay, he's a variant now. You gotta track him down. The others are just, he walked off the path. These could just be him at older time periods. But the female Loki brings up some interesting questions. Apparently, variants are just disruptions in the time stream. They had to be up to a certain level of disruption into other people's actions before they can be detected, though. So, that means that this Loki, if Loki was born female, that would immediately change the way people reacted to him from the moment he was born, which means either she was born a variant, she was supposed to be born male, but she was born female and somehow managed to survive the TVA. Maybe one of their members decided to recruit her, like they did this Loki, because they were like, I don't want to kill a child, bring him in. We'll bring her in, we'll raise her, and then she betrayed them. That would make sense. It would explain why she's able to use their technology and stuff like that. But I'm not so sure that's what's happening here. First up, I guess, yes, that first theory is really solid because it explains why they'd be distrustful of Loki. It explains a lot of things, especially if he's a really common variant. Having, raising her, that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's why. I think, and this is just a very, very, very out there theory, I think that the female Loki might be from the old multiverse. Okay, so the Timekeepers apparently saw this massive multiversal war, and so they decided to bring order to the universe by forging this one sacred timeline. They're still, making it. The fact that they haven't finished it yet, at the very least, indicates that it's an ongoing project, so it's recent-ish. And I'm wondering, since Loki is immortal and all his, counterparts would be, if she was a survivor of the old multiverse. That would make sense, right? Because after the Timekeepers got away with the multiverse, even if any of them managed to survive by like hopping into the main timeline, they would be treated as variants. And once the Timekeepers got up and running, they would start hunting them down and killing them. So Loki might be someone who survived the multiverse collapses. Maybe the last survivor of the old multiverse. Which actually would explain her motives a lot more. If she was raised by the TVA ever since she was a child, I just don't see how she would it's Loki, so maybe you could just say, well, yeah, but Loki, always ends up betraying the people who raise him. It's fair. But I don't think that would, it just doesn't fit for me. I don't know why, it just doesn't seem to fit. Her action, the way she was disgusted with the Timekeepers and stuff like that, it's no, she doesn't just dislike them, disagree with them or whatever. I think she genuinely, hates them. And destroying her, entire timeline would very much fit into that. She even says, I don't want to take over the Time Variance Authority, because she actually tells Loki that she has no interest in ruling them. And her actions at the end of the episode, she takes all of the time grenades the time charges, which are meant to erase multiverses, and she's done something to them. She's altered them. When they turn on, they turn purple instead of orange. And then a time door opens up beneath them, and they go off to other points. And then suddenly, hundreds of variant timelines start emerging from the main timeline. You know, all the TVA officers are like rushing in slow motion, rushing out their doors. Even like the judge who has been sitting in like working in the office is like putting on her old armor and rushing out. It's, you know, all hands on deck. We gotta call all these timelines. But what if her goal was simply to resurrect the multiverse? That was her goal, to bring it back and then to kill the Timekeepers, destroy the Variance Authority so that they could never bring it down again. Which makes sense if she was a survivor of the old multiverse. Because if the infinite timeline thing is a thing, that means her timeline might be recreated and she could hop back into it. Theoretically speaking. She'd probably have to, you know, kill a variant of her, version of herself so she could slot in, but that might be her goal, is to go home, to bring her home back. To bring back the multiverse. And that would actually make it kind of, like, tragic. Like, because it really does put into perspective, like, the Timekeepers didn't just, like, put everyone in a timeline. They slaughtered billions of timelines. Like, maybe infinite. Like, they took so many realities that had their own worlds and people, and they just erased them. So they could have this one perfect little timeline. And if there was a survivor of that, they would definitely want to burn the whole thing down. So, yeah, that's my theory on what female Loki is. Now, what's interesting, though, is I'm not sure if Loki was really planning on betraying them or if he was just saying that, because there's this little scene where he kind of, like, bends down near the officer who was accompanying him, that she took over and knocked out. And I think we're going to be revealed that either, like, there are a few moments in this show, it's like, I think Loki did a little sleight of hand there. Maybe he didn't. I might just be like overthinking this, but I have a feeling that he probably slipped them some like piece of information or something like that. Maybe he did. Maybe he did betray them. Maybe he's just sick of it all. But I got the feeling he was bonding with Mobius, so I'm not entirely sure he just like double crossed him out of the blue like that. It is a very Loki thing, as Mobius says. He's seen his entire life. He's literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times. So, you know. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where Loki goes from here, because the female Loki fled away from a time door while, you know, after she bombed the timeline, which is just so cool to say. I love that I can say that somebody bombed a timeline. Oh, beautiful. But anyway, so Loki followed after her, and, you know, Mobius and them were like shouting, "Don't go, no," and vanished. So I wonder if he's trying to hunt her down. Maybe he wants revenge for, you know, beating him up, calling him a lesser Loki, that kind of stuff. Maybe he wants revenge just because she rejected his plans or whatever. Maybe he genuinely just wanted to escape the Time Authority. Maybe he'll team up with her. Who knows? It'll be interesting. We saw all those scenes in the, you know, the trailers, like the one on with Black Widow. I'm really interested to see what that's about. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's an episode of mostly rampant theorizing with a bit of me talking about describing a show. So hope you liked that. Might do more of these theory videos. I kind of like it, actually. I like just theorizing about this stuff. Anyway, next time we are going to be doing a book. So schedule. Here it is. So I'm going to be doing One Good Dragon Deserves Another by Rachel Aaron on Tuesday, and then hopefully I will have finally finished Subnautica, because I seem to be taking my sweet time with that one. Sorry about that. Subnautica is a crafting survival game. I get kind of lost in those, you know. Which is, you know, good. I have a massive base now, and I have most of the stuff built, so, you know, I'm probably going to be trying to find the last alien artifact. So, that's spoilers. David said spoilers. Well, okay, Subnautica, underwater base, alien artifacts, that's just a given. So yeah. Hopefully we'll be doing Subnautica Below Zero next Friday, but I'm not sure if I'll finish it by then. I have a lot of stuff going on right now, so I might be doing just another movie or something like that. We also have Loki next week, so maybe I'll do that. Just depends. You can definitely count on One Good Dragon Deserves Another. It's a book by Rachel Aaron. It's the sequel to Nice Dragons Finish Last. You know, the first book of that series I was talking about, Heartstriker series. It's a second book in that series now, so it's going to be really good time. Hope to see you all there. Bye. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to the Dragon's Library. Please subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes. The Dragon's Library releases new episodes Tuesday and Friday each week, and you can follow us on Twitter at dragon_library2. If you want to suggest an episode topic, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for all your support.